It's been 4 decades since the deadly bombing of 4 students who've been etched into history as the Cosas Four. Today, Tlhomedi Mfalapitsa, an apartheid-era askari, goes on trial for 3 of their murders. 3 of the students from Kagiso were killed in a bombing near Krugersdorp. The 4th victim was severely injured. 67-year-old Mfalapitsa had allegedly lured the boys to a site where they died last year. The families of the 3 who were killed turned to the courts in a bid for justice. For the latest on the case, our reporter Masego Rahlaga joins us live from the South Gauteng High Court in Johannesburg. Masego, it's been 40 years since the deaths of the students. What do we know about Tlhomedi Mfalapitsa's alleged involvement?
Well, to be honest with you, I wouldn't call it alleged, because he did appear before the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in 1996 and again in 1999. And this is one of the cases, rather, that he did admit to. So it's not an alleged involvement. He definitely was involved in the killing of the 3 of the 4 Cosas students. What we know about Tlhomedi Mfalapitsa is that he joined the struggle, if you could call it that. He joined the MK back in 1976, just after the student uprisings. He joined the struggle. He was sent on missions in different countries around Africa, including Zambia and Botswana. He got arrested at some point in Botswana for his activities and being found with firearms, and that's when he was asked, basically, by the Botswana government back then, around 1982, early 1982, late 1981. That's when he was asked by the Botswana government whether he wants to return to South Africa, or will he choose to be a man without any, who will be stateless. He told me that he decided that he doesn't want to not belong, and South Africa was the only home he knew. So he then returned to South Africa, and upon his return, of course, he was handed over to the police. That, at the time, of course, being the apartheid police. And he said to me he was given a choice, Tafuma. It was either he gets killed or he works for the apartheid government, back then the security force. And that's when he became an askari, really. And he met these 3 boys in Kagiso, where he was visiting his uncle. They were used to each other. In February 1982, these 4 boys approached him because they knew he was from, being underground. He was coming back from exile. And that's when they asked him if he could help them get into the MK and help with the fight against apartheid. He promised them he would, and on one particular night, on the 15th of February 1982, they met at a hospital called Leratong Hospital. And that's when they were driven, these boys were driven by another askari by the name of Joe Mamasela. They were driven to a mine dump in Krugersdorp, and that's where bombs were detonated. That is how we're finding ourselves here today. But I did have a chat with him in Rustenburg, where he currently resides, and this is a snippet of what he told me.
So I also came to South Africa because it's the only home I know. There was no country.
But you knew
where I come from. I knew that my life was in a balance, but I came nevertheless. And I told white people, I don't want to do anything to do with war in Zambia. I mean in eNCA, and with the white supremacy regimes. I told them like this.
But they didn't listen to that.
Tell me, the war is going on. You come from the eNCA, you are almost a senior in the eNCA, they're operating from the headquarters of the eNCA. You tell us you don't want to join us. You can either kill us, either kill you, or take you to prison for a very long time.
So they said kill you, prison, or work for us.
The prison was not actually so much assured, but what I could see, because when you are within the group of security office branch who are most white, and you could see they bring some informers who are senior government of Botswana crossing the river to affirm that we were in Botswana and so on. And of course, at that time, I could not deny my psychological makeup. So anybody I was looking at, I was looking at an assassin. You see, so those days were terrible also for me, because I was feeling that my intention of owning up to my past and then letting me leave was not working. So my future then became uncertain. And then this is how finally they forced me to join South African police.
So that goes back to my first question then. Do we say Tlhomedi Mfalapitsa, former apartheid askari?
Yeah, in a certain sense you can say that, but you know, in a certain sense, I did not join the South African police by approving apartheid.
So was the Cosas Four your first assignment as a SAPS member, or were there other assignments?
Oh, no, that was my first time.
Is it your only one?
Yeah, so far, yeah.
You can watch the rest of that interview that Masego did on eNCA. Great interview that she's done with Tlhomedi Mfalapitsa, and also spoken to the families of the victims. Masego, so like you say, it's not an allegation that he was involved. We know that already. What are we expecting in court today?
So Tafuma, this case, you know, it's one of those that I think you know, is not getting enough noise in South Africa. It's a very important case that, you know, tells us a little bit more about our history in South Africa, you know, and like the ANC's Nomvula Mokonyane told me yesterday, because she sat with me for that hour to react to what the askari was saying, you know, it shows the ramifications of betrayal, really. And basically what we're expecting to happen today is that there might be a postponement, and this is going to anger the families that have been waiting almost 40 years for justice. There is a possibility of that. And if you ask why I'm saying there might be a postponement, this is because the actual detonator, the man who was behind that button that actually detonated the bombs that were planted at this house at the mine dump, has also been arrested. But his arrest is quite recent, because what we found out was that he was quite ill. So his arrest is quite recent, and he's been appearing at a court in Katlehong for the past 2 or 3 weeks, and he's supposed to join Mfalapitsa with this case. So he's only going to be appearing tomorrow for his second appearance at the Magistrates Court. And because he's supposed to join Mfalapitsa for his trial in the High Court, it may mean that we postpone so that we can give the magistrate-level court to, you know, transfer Rodriguez to this case, and that means we might only start the trial on Wednesday. But also, Tafuma, there's also the question of Joe Mamasela, the other askari who was actually the driver. The family is calling for him to also be put on trial. So if the courts decide that they want to put all 3 of them on trial, it's going to take quite a while for justice to finally prevail.
Wow, 4 decades and counting. Thank you, Masego Rahlaga. She'll give us the latest. We'll cross to her later on to find out if there is any movement in that case, or if